Hi everyone and welcome to my review of Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars. And this is going to be the first film in my first director series on this channel. I thought I'd start with this before going into Scorsese and Kubrick. This is a short. I'm going to be doing just the 6 films. A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, A Fistful of Dynamite, Once Upon a Time in the West, and then Once Upon a Time in America. Now it's just the 6 films I'll be doing. I won't be reviewing The Colossus of Rhodes and Last Day at Pompeii. I won't be doing them. I might, watch them in the future and add them into the ranking, which I'll be doing at the end. But for now, it's just them 6 films that I mentioned. And the first one, of course, is The Fistful of Dollars in this collection here. And it's the first, one of the first Blu-rays actually I ever bought when I started collecting Blu-rays, acquiring them. And this film and the trilogy, this trilogy, it's one of the turning points for me really, for how I viewed cinema really. I'd seen all the Tarantinos before this, and I knew he took a lot of inspiration from Leone. He's mentioned that countless times. So I kind of knew the kind of style to expect, but really there is still a distinct way in which the films are directed and everything. And I was first time I saw this I was I'd heard it's an acclaimed film, and it's meant to be a classic western, but it was better than I thought it would be, because most people talk about The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, and they don't mention too much the other two, and I just thought it would be kind of more standard than what it was, and it was kind of blew me away in many areas, and straight away this film, just the way it introduces Clint Eastwood's character, and the music, everything like this, the way it's shot, it just kind of, it made me kind of wow, this guy knows how to make films. His style is so unique. You can't really talk about this film without mentioning Yojimbo, Kurosawa's film. It was made a few years before, and Leone did admit that he took the plot from Yojimbo. Just the basic, the guy going in and there's these 2 gangs, and he kind of plays them off against each other, and he's kind of this man in the middle. That was taken from Yojimbo, the plot. But everything else is completely different. It's not just a copy film. And I've seen Yojimbo and I really liked it, but I do prefer this. And Yojimbo for me is the worst Kurosawa I've seen to date. I've seen quite a few, and it's the only one really that didn't wow me. But I did really like it, and as I say, I do prefer this. And the style of this film, the music, and just how it's told really, it's just more compelling. And early on we're introduced to this old man who kind of gives some exposition about the 2 rival gangs. You've got one led by Ramon, and then you've got the Baxters, led by John Baxter on the other side. And Clint Eastwood, his character kind of, throughout the film, he's dipping in and out, trying to use them against each other, and playing them both really. And Clint Eastwood in this film, famously, it gave birth to this legend, the man with no name. He is actually called Joe, referred to as Joe in the film, but yeah, the man with no name, the trilogy, and Clint Eastwood is just stunning in this film really. It's just so good. He doesn't really need to speak to kind of portray the character. Actions more than words. He speaks more than he does, I think, in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly and stuff. But he's still, minimal dialogue really for him. And it's just, his expressions, the way he moves, the actions, just the way he presents himself, how he portrays the character really. And it's just legendary really. I love Clint Eastwood in this film, and at the time, a lot of critics, didn't like his performance. They just said he wasn't acting very well, and he was kind of just sort of mumbling and stuff. Of course, now though it's a different story, and over the years, this entire trilogy really has gone into this kind of legendary acclaim, really. And you know, Clint Eastwood as well has just been nothing really but praised for the role, and you know, just the way he can stand there and command, you know, this presence, just how cool he is, and yeah, just as well this warmth to him and his character. It just works so well, and there's quite a lot of humour in this film actually, if you look for it, and you know, you can just switch between just like that, you know. And go into you know, saying these humorous lines, and it just works so well. But still, you're able to take it, you know, really seriously as well. And you know, all the cast really in this film, aside from a few people, deliver really well. Ramon, the guy who plays him, Ramon's character is really good in this film. Great villain. The actor would also join Leone again for a few dollars more. He'd play a different character, but yeah, no, he's a great actor, a great villain, and as well, you know, some of the side characters as well. You know, just add up to make this such a memorable experience. And you know, there is a few issues. There's this kid in it, and because of the dubbing, you know, it's famous for all the trilogy being dubbed for most of the characters. But I think this is the only one of the three that I do have a few issues really with the dubbing. And there's this kid, and when they dubbed it, it was just like bits where he's crying and stuff, or just shouting. It's really off-putting. Most of the rest of the dubbing is fine, and it doesn't really take away from the experience. But this kid, and maybe at times this other woman in it as well, could have been done better there. It's like they didn't really put much effort into that, to the dubbing, but the rest of the people, you know, it's not a problem, not an issue, and you know, all these side characters and everyone involved really, it's so memorable, such a memorable cast of characters, and of course the way this film is directed is masterful. I didn't think it would be as well directed the first time I saw this. I thought, you know, he'd build and build, and he's reached this sort of status with The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. But right off the bat, this film is shot masterfully for me. You know, the cinematography, everything is stunning. There's not really a scene where it's not masterfully directed. It's something, it's stunning, it really is. He would build each time, and he'd get better throughout this trilogy, in my opinion, but with the directing. But straight away off the bat, it's stunning. You know, the visuals, how gritty it is, but you know, also the way he captures the landscapes and you know, the beauty of the landscape. It's something else, really. You know, the style is kind of this juxtaposing the close-ups, the extreme close-ups. You know, with these long shots, and you know, just the way you get in the face of these guys, the tension it builds. It's just something else, really. And you know, as well, the use of music is something that is just straight away is masterful. You know, Ennio Morricone, again, one of my favourite film composers, and you know, he'd famously work with Sergio Leone with most of his films, really, and certainly for the ones I'll be reviewing on this ranking. And the way the music is used in this film is just so good. The tone it sets, you know, for the different moods, and you know, the epic standoffs and everything. It's just masterful. And Leone, I think Leone is one of the best. He knows how to best use the music for his films, and he would evolve. He would keep evolving to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Once Upon a Time in the West, and then eventually, yeah, with these films, he would reach this operatic level that is really, for me, unmatched almost in cinema. And here, it's stunning. And you know, every track is just so memorable as well in itself. You know, it's a mixture of the score of the epic, the haunting, and really the beauty. and every single moment when the music is used, it's used perfectly to convey these different moods and to establish Clint Eastwood's character and the tone of the film. And it's so iconic as well, of course. And for me, even A Fistful of Dollars, it'd be bettered in his later films, the music, but this is still among the best film scores for me. And it's just stunning. I listen to it quite a lot. And yeah, the way it's used is masterful, as I say. And the script as well. It's kind of basic in places, but it's that fast-paced, witty dialogue, and a clear script. I found Yojimbo actually did at times. I don't want to talk about it too much, but at times it was a bit not convoluted, but it could have been told clearer for how basic really the plot was. But this script, it's clear. It's much more clearer. And it's fast paced, and he kind of relies more on just the visual storytelling, Leone, and the music instead of a lot of the dialogue, and these standoffs as well, which went down in cinema history. He uses that more than the dialogue to tell the story, and I just think every act of this film as well, it just builds and builds. To that final duel, which is just legendary, really. Every department really in this film, apart from the dubbing, it's kind of bad in places. As I say, I haven't really got much issues with this film. I think it's just a great film, a classic. And yes, it would be bettered. I think with most of his work, without spoiling anything. But right off the bat, it's a great film, and certainly I do prefer it to Yojimbo, that's for sure. Not taking anything away from that film, and I do still really like it, but there's just something I connect with more with this film, and the style of it, and just the tone, the characters as well. It's just so enjoyable, this film. But it's still artistic, the way the directing, the music as well. The sets, although basic, really effective. And I just feel like this was a almost flawless way to start the trilogy, the Dollars trilogy. And to be honest, I think I'll give it a 98%. And the first time I saw this film, I still loved it, but every time I've seen it since, basically, it's just gone up that much more. I recently saw it, and it's my third viewing, and these films just keep getting better and better for me. And for me, it is the weakest in the trilogy, but to say that it's the weakest in the trilogy, it's still close to a 10 out of 10. Really says it all, really. And I have a few flaws, obviously, that don't quite allow it to reach that level. Some of the dubbing, and it's a bit basic in places. It could be more emotional in places, maybe, and to reach that level, or just more of a developed script. Some of the characters, although are really good, are more kind of 1D characters. But it's still a great film without much flaws for me, and it was a film that really changed my view on cinema and got me, following this guy Leone. He instantly became, after this trilogy, one of my favourite directors. And then I saw Once Upon a Time in the West and America, and wow, he became even more regarded from me. There's not much praise I can give. There's not much higher praise I can give Leone, other than imagine if he made more films like this. He only made really 8 films, and these 6 that I'm reviewing, where he could actually, his vision came through properly. And it's kind of like Kubrick, but even he made even less films than Kubrick. And if he had made even a few more, he could well have been in my, right up there with my favourites. But as it stands, this is a great film from a legendary director, with a memorable cast, a great villain, Clint Eastwood's minimal acting, but really such a memorable performance. The score is masterful, the way it's used, and the directing, the cinematography, everything, the editing, stunning. The way he contrasts the long shots with the close-ups, masterful. Rarely has that been bettered by Sergio Leone, for me. And it's a short film, and it's short and sweet. And really, by the end of the end credits and not credits, but the end of the film is just, you get such a feeling of like, wow, that was something. I love this film. What can I say? So thanks for watching my review. Next up will be for a few dollars more, which was the next year, and I look forward to reviewing that as well. But yeah, I love this film, and thanks for watching. Check out my other reviews and rankings on my channel. Thanks for watching.